Hello everyone, and welcome to the third webinar of Digital Marketing Analytics, a short course presented by IT Masters on behalf of Charles Sturt University. My name is Guy Coward and I'll be your MC as usual, and your mentor is Elisha Booth. Before we begin, the usual housekeeping. We encourage the asking of questions and the use of chat during the webinar, and there are two ways to do so. We ask that you direct all questions relevant to course content to the Q&A section, and that you send all administration type questions, dates, time, resource availability, for example, to the support team in chat, who are right behind us. You can chat with panelists only or to all of your fellow students as well, and you can make that choice by toggling through the drop-down box once you've opened the chat log. There are usually some very experienced industry-based attendees who augment the content. Their stories are really useful quite often. We'll have Q&A sessions periodically, and if a question is particularly relevant to a slide, I'll interrupt. David's around tonight from IT Masters as usual. He's responsible for the course page, learn.itmasters.edu.au. You can find all of the course materials there and contact details for us for any problems you have. We have another guest lecturer tonight, which is exciting, Dilhan Madarunga. Dilhan is a software whiz who develops e-commerce systems and platforms. He has experience at heaps of online stores, and Elisha worked with Dilhan at Lowe's. And the long game, I believe, is to get him to jump ship to wherever Elisha is for the rest of her working life. She'll pop in and out. He'll pop in and hopefully very soon. But let's, for now, welcome Elisha, and thank you for joining us again, Elisha. And I'm glad we have you at least. I'll work in the meantime on getting everyone back.
Great. Hi, everyone. I'm not too sure how many people are in, but hopefully those who are not in yet will be in soon.
Yeah, we've got a good solid 50 already, so that's a good start.
Okay, good. That's a good sign. It's heading in the right direction. Sorry about any technical difficulties, but it looks like we're resolving those as we speak. Bit of excitement. So we've journeyed through week 1 and week 2. Hopefully those of you who have listened or attended found it quite interesting. This week, week 3, is all about a deeper dive into web analytics, so e-commerce analytics, and that includes customer experience, which is CX, artificial intelligence, just sort of breezing over, I guess, the concept of it. And then we'll dive into A/B multivariant testing for websites. So last week we talked about that for EDMs or electronic direct mail. You can do similar tests for web pages and do things like conversion rate optimization. We're also going to be talking about tracking dynamic pages and a whole heap more. Dilhan, I'm very excited to have him on board. Hopefully he'll be joining soon, but he's got a couple of live sessions. Now, it will be really technical, but if you can just know that Dilhan will explain it in the most simplistic way possible, and that for those of you who are more advanced, I'm sure you'll really get excited about it as well. So let's get into it. So tonight I'll be presenting a few slides, but the main sort of bulk of the presentation will be by Dilhan. So let's get into it. So what does web analytics mean? It's basically the tracking and analysis of your website or a website. Things like page load, your speed, how fast the page loads, the speed of serving pages, you know, things like how many page views per visit. So when a customer comes to your site, how many pages are they taking a look at, and time on site. So things like that can be really useful metrics to see if the content that are on those pages and also the technical delivery of the website is actually working well for customers. So imagine, you know, there might be some websites that you've gone to where the page sort of doesn't load as fast as what you would like it to load, and then you get a bit sort of frustrated, check the internet and know that that's okay, and just sort of go, oh, that's a really poor experience. You know, also when you're served a page, you know, maybe after a Google search, you might not get a page that's relevant to your search. And so then you might bounce and not look at other pages. If there's things like, you know, breadcrumb trails or call to actions. That's a really good practice to keep people onto your website and interested, as is rich content like videos and, you know, live sessions like we're doing tonight, live streams, they keep people on websites. So there's lots and lots of content to discuss tonight, so I'm just going to keep going. One of the things that's really important is to track all your efforts on site, and you know, your content management system and pages they vary depending on the types of pages they are. So we've got more about that in later slides. So when we look at A/B testing, the multivariant tools, so multiple things to test on one page, can actually optimize and improve the customer experience, which is CX. And tools such as heat maps, which I mentioned, I think, in week 1, you know, can basically, recently at Best and Less, we've been managing and recording where people drop off in the checkout process, so we can actually improve our conversion rate. And just jumping to the last point, conversion rate optimization, that is really just, you know, having a variation of, say, a one color button and having variations of that, the actual call to action phrase that you might have on that button, and changing variations of that all at the same time, and serving the most optimal page. More on that later. So what is customer experience, or CX, customer experience? And essentially it's the measure of all the interactions a customer will have along their journey with a brand or many brands. And last week we spoke about Net Promoter Score, and it's a good measurement of overall ratings. So when you look at the diagram or image next to the image on the right, you'll see that your digital experience on desktop, mobile, and in-store is a combination of many different channels and initiatives. So you've got paid media, search engine optimization, email marketing, social media marketing, and really it's the experience across one or many. Typically it's about 7 where customers are really engaged with your brand. So you can really shape a great digital customer experience by reachability, so impressions and reach, service convenience. So I know that I use Twitter a lot if I'm unhappy. Some of you might have seen my Twitter handle with regards to a few brands, because I want immediate sort of action. Other times I'm happy to talk on live chat, or I might want to go onto Facebook Messenger. I'm sure a lot of you have experienced that before. And just really need to get a really quick answer, and customer expectations are going up and up every kind of day, really, but over the last 5 years the customer expectation is so much higher, and businesses that are successful are measuring this type of stuff, and they're trying to improve it and beat the competitors. So purchase convenience as well, so things like Facebook Shop or Instagram Shop, marketplaces such as eBay or Amazon. It's really about where is the customer shopping, and how can we meet that demand, and how can we be brand, have a brand extension on other platforms. So when you look at Best and Less, we've got an eBay store, we've got other channels happening, we've got collections happening on Facebook and Instagram, because we know some customers would prefer to shop through those channels. So it's really important. Personalization and relevance, is very important, and using data to, things like analysis of, previous purchase history, customer preferences is really important with that type of thing. The ease of use and simplicity is really important. And, I've got a slide with regards to Omnichannel. I know a lot of you have probably heard that. Well, I'm sort of moving towards channel agnostic, and that sort of relates to the flexibility of meeting customers where they are, and developing a strategy that's based on where customers are, rather than assuming that they're just all on your website or all on Facebook or watching TV or whatever. So more on that later. Some trends for 2009, the artificial intelligence, the it continues, and it continues to evolve and become smarter. Data ethics, obviously privacy, etc., has really come to the forefront. Data management will become a barrier. And as I mentioned before, the omni-channel strategy will fade out and it'll be channel agnostic. I've got a link down there as well, which gives some more, I guess, trends for 2019. And each year they constantly will evolve into others, but AI has been on the list, and these top 4 actually have been on the list for quite some time. So taking a breath, hopefully we've got more people in the session. Guy, are we looking good?
Yeah, they're filing back in. We've got about 80 at the moment, and I'm sending an email to everyone enrolled in the course to let them know that if they just click this button, they can jump right back in.
Excellent.
But still got 80 in there, and questions and chat flowing away, so that's really good.
Excellent. Okay, great. Well, let's talk about artificial intelligence. So refers to machines basically with capabilities that they mimic cognitive functions associated with the human mind. So things like, learning and problem solving. The benefits is it saves both time and money by automating what would other be a complex and time-consuming process. So in the olden days, 10 years ago, when I was at Deals Direct, we used to actually manually analyze data and have a lot of different segments, and it was based on a one-dimensional set of data rather than all different types of data that's analyzed by a machine. So that's where it's really good for marketers, IT professionals, and developers, software solutions architects to really make more meaningful connections with data. And it prevents human error as well. It allows you to predict preferences. And I think I spoke about that last week with regards to the master system that I'm using. We're looking at previous purchase behavior and purchase intent based on the data that we have from POS and from our CRM as well. So it's really exciting. It actually improves customer engagement, and it's really much easier to analyze data and make quicker decisions. So that's about it for that. So just how it's paving the way for digital marketing. It's really exciting place to be at in terms of being a digital marketer. Predicting customer behavior and generating content based on that is really exciting, and it's very quick to learn. So we do Google Smart Shopping. We used to do that manually, and now that's all done by a machine, for example. When we look at this image on the right, we see that personalized customer experience. AI tools can use multiple data points, including the customer's location, their device, past interactions, and demographics to personalize content. It can predict customer behavior using various models, and can basically identify customers who are more likely to respond to offers and do that in a very quick way. So it can anticipate behavior as well, and use various languaging engines and processes. And you can use it for your ad targeting and retargeting, as I mentioned, I think a couple of weeks ago, sorry. So I just wanted to provide this here on the right. You can see the machine's learning what people are actually writing in social media and using that in a certain way and making assumptions and decisions based on, the sentiment of a brand, for example. They're seeing what people are saying about it, and they actually put it into a meaningful way. And they do that to measure the success of campaigns, and actually able, if they're not successful as what they thought they were going to be able to adjust very quickly. So Netbase is recommended by me. It is one of the leading social media customer experience analytic platforms, and it delivers speeds 5 times faster than other solutions. Now, that's what they claim. This has been copied from their website, but essentially it's an artificial artificial intelligence technology that uses machine learning, deep learning, and expert systems for processing and analyzing social media. So it's very exciting. I've got a link there too. So this image on the right, it's actually measuring the sentiment of a brand. So it's analyzing that. So you can see the indicators below, and that will come into a platform and you'll be able to analyze that in a really meaningful way. So it breaks down every object in a sentence with sentiment analysis, and its transparent analysis provides a sentiment score, which is really exciting. If you go to their website, you can see quite a few different videos and case studies, so highly recommended. So what can you do with this type of platform? Well, you know, you can align your marketing message for each channel using social analytics insights, understand when and where your audience is most engaged, and that's where you can invest with your, you know, with your dollars or your content strategy. And, you know, you can engage passionate brand advocates and identify them pretty easy and reach out and potentially propose that they're an influencer for you. And it just uncovers opportunities that you may not consider as well. So when you use a platform like this, you know, it does reveal some sort of opportunity that you may not have considered. Image processing. It basically analyzes and is incorporated into your social listening strategies. So you can see there on the right, the computer system is processing images, you know, on social media, whether people are happy, surprised, angry, or sad. I've provided a bit of a link there. In the course, this will be a very exciting topic that I'll discuss and that you'll learn more of. I can't really cover it all tonight because we've got Dilhan, but it's a very exciting, and I'm very passionate about this this topic. So if you've got any questions, please post those in the forum. Okay. Do you think we should do a bit of a poll, Guy, at this stage?
No, let's go with the video first.
Okay.
Is there anything in particular you'd be interested in finding out?
Has anyone,
Something I would be interested in actually is if anyone has received an email from me saying what's gone wrong, because I sent that to everyone and everyone should have received it by now. So that's one thing. But yeah, maybe we'll just start with the video.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about campaign orchestration, which is a more linear and I guess more commonplace in business when you're putting a marketing campaign together, and how you use your channels. And then I want to explain what customer data orchestration is and how that is more live data talking to different data points to serve content and campaign advertising, for example, in a more relevant and meaningful way. But first, I just highly recommend looking at Telium fundamentals, and this is where this video is from. Just give me a moment while I go back into the video. Yep. So I think, where are we? I think we'll just get my computer sound.
And I can happily report that people did receive the email, so we should get a few more attendees now.
Great. Thanks for the update. Just trying to go to this video. I might just do this. Just bear with us. Can you see my screen okay?
Sure can, and we can see the YouTube video. It's coming up now.
Have big marketing goals, like optimizing amazing cross-channel experiences for every customer. It's no small task. And to achieve it, you need a simple process to orchestrate your campaigns across every channel. It sounds like marketing nirvana, right? But nirvana doesn't come without challenges, because budgets are always tight, and the number of channels and competitors is constantly growing. Not to mention, internal channel teams work in silos, and they don't share data, so no one completely understands the customer, which means it's hard to deliver personalized and compelling offers or critical communications that drive satisfaction, loyalty, and purchase behavior. So conversions drop. The same with ROI. and funds go to other departments. It's a vicious cycle, one that feels like you've entered the ninth circle of hell by noon on Monday. Fortunately, it's a cycle that can be broken. All you need is a cross-channel marketing solution that can help you do a few simple things, like combine all your data, both online and offline, into a single customer profile. With a single profile, you can create personalized offers and content. Then, you need to be able to send that content to any marketing channel. Finally, you want to measure the results and get insights for the next campaign. The good news is, this process is now possible with a single integrated solution. You may call it Nirvana, but we call it campaign orchestration, thanks to the Adobe Experience Cloud. It's all about optimizing the experience for your customers, and optimizing the process and results for you.
Now that was a bit of an advert, clearly, and I'm not sponsored. Sorry.
Good to know.
Just so you know, I'm not that good. So
God.
jumping back on. Yeah, so I just wanted to sort of use that to explain customer data orchestrations. But first, campaign orchestration, what does that look like? So you can see the image on the left. So it's really quite linear and static. So the way it works is, and this is very commonplace, marketing process, creating, deploying and analysing campaigns across multiple channels to build a customer experience. And they leverage data to trigger campaigns based on what a customer's doing, what device they're on, or their last experience in their customer journey, the last stop. It allows organisations to guide their customer journey, and it's what teams use as insights to make decisions. It's pretty much one-dimensional, in my opinion, and it's something that when you look at the other side of it, it's really important to at least understand at a very top level that there are other ways and other approaches to use data in a more meaningful way. And like some of the messages that customers receive and the decisions that are made about customers are really after their last interaction with the brand. So when we look at, I've done a bit of a typo there, data orchestration, it's really a universal approach. And as the video sort of explained, it's a single customer view. It connects data in real time across multiple teams, technologies and customer touch points. So it can use data like, your POS data that you have in a store. It can connect that into a system that is also using other data from other systems to actually give a more 360 view of a customer. And then, you're able to serve content that's specific to the customer who's in a particular platform. So it actually avoids the silos in organizations. So, at Lowe's, the POS data was very much completely separate to the website data, and it was all about manually trying to link that in together and then make some insights and decisions. Whereas, these types of platforms that are available, and this is one of the good ones that I just showed before with Telium, it really is very seamless and, great dashboards, and it really improves the customer experience. And that's really what we want to get to in a very quick way without doing manual data mining, for example. So moving on to Omnichannel. I mean, 5 years ago, I was talking about Omnichannel in a lot of Andrew Mashman webinars, if any of you attended those. But, as we move forward in the customer, it's all about the customer and what they're doing. There's been a lot of documentation around a channel agnostic. And what that means is, rather than offering several channels to everyone, companies will have a better chance of segmenting their customers, analysing their preferences of those segments, and offering only the channels that they identify with or resort to the most. So if you've got a customer that's only on Instagram and maybe comes to the website every now and again, you can really invest your money in that particular cohort of customers that are on Instagram. And that's certainly what we're doing at Best and Less. When all of your customer interactions are in the one place, you definitely get a better sense of what your customers' needs are. So you can be preemptive. You can see, you know, what they're talking about. You can see, you know, what they're interested in, and you can serve really great campaigns to them. So I've got a link there with regards to the Telium article, so it's definitely worth a read. Okay, so moving along to web technology, and I'm shortly about to introduce Dilhan. Hopefully he's online now.
Oh yes, we have Dilhan. Don't worry about that.
Oh, good. Okay, great. So web technology, by definition, is the way computers communicate with each other. The language used is often called markup and multimedia packages. It's meant to interact with hosted information like websites. Web technology involves the use of hypertext markup. I'm not sure if you've heard that before, but Dylan will talk more about it. And CSS, which is cascading style sheets, which makes it look pretty. So I know that Dilhan's got a couple of slides as examples. I don't want to steal his thunder. He will dive more into the technology, but essentially the web is a service that operates over the internet, just as email does. And, you know, according to Microsoft, web technologies include markup languages such as HTML, CSS, XML, CGI, and HTTP, and programming languages and technologies that help create applications for the web. I thought it'd be interesting to you to know that, you know, in my experience, there's 3 types of websites: dynamic websites, the old static page websites, and then there's another type called single page apps. So I'll go into more detail in a moment. So what's the difference between static and dynamic? And this certainly is a precursor to Dilhan's presentation. I wanted to keep it really straightforward and basic. So basically, static websites, the pages already exist on the server. So as you can see on the right, the web server's there. And dynamic pages are built on the fly as the client calls on the server. And they're sent to the browser, and it comes from various other pages and databases and other sources on the server or the web, and it actually serves that page to the customer or client. And the server must build it before sending, and that's pretty much the difference. So as you can see there, the client's browser or the customer browser. Okay, so I'm just going to briefly talk about canonical URLs and tracking dynamic pages. So canonical URLs are a way of telling search engines that a canonical tag represents the main copy of a page. So often when you've got pages like, you can see there, bestandless.com.au, there's different ways that you can get to that page, and we want to track all the pages that are served to a client. So it basically enables or disables duplication because Google selects the best one as the canonical URL, but you can actually do it yourself as a developer. And, you know, there's always duplicate content, so we want to make sure that we're tracking the performance of the amount of calls that a customer's doing. And yeah, it just tracks and tags the URLs from a page. Single page applications, it's basically a web application or website that loads all of the resources, so all of the content required to navigate through the site. It's sort of like a mobile type of experience. So as the user clicks links and interacts with the page, the content is loaded dynamically. Hopefully you're following me here, but Dylan will dive in a little bit deeper with some examples. The application will often update the URL in the address bar. So hopefully you remember the URL at the top when you're navigating in your browser. That will often change, but another full page request is never made with SPAs. And the final point there is interaction with the single page application often involves dynamic communication with the web server behind the scenes. Below is, if you're more interested, is a little bit of a guide with regards to that. I'm just going to jump down to the final points to give you an example. So the About Us page can be reached via any of the following URLs. So /about.html, /about.html, and so on and so forth. And what we want to do is to avoid any duplications in Google Analytics, for example. So it's best to capture the canonical URL /about.html. So yeah. All right. So shall we do a poll?
I'm working on one now.
Okay,
It's a
I might
very
introduce.
good one, I might add.
Yeah.
One must build suspense.
Yes, and give
maybe a
oneself a
great
rap.
time for Dilhan to jump online, chuck his microphone on, and go through the process of getting his slideshow ready.
Sure.
I'm very excited to hear from Dilhan. How are you going, Dilhan?
Hello, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Can you please turn your mic to maximum and start shouting down it, because you're far too modest and softly spoken for my liking. It's got to be all bombastic all the time.
Yeah, give me a second.
No worries at all.
That's really good. That sounds great, Dilhan. I might just introduce you.
Please do.
So Dilhan is originally from Sri Lanka, and I met Dilhan whilst working at freshflowers.com.au through an agency called NetStarter. And they're still around today, although they don't do web services anymore. Web development, I should say. So Dylan and I formed a great relationship. He built a great website solving so many solutions, and essentially Dilhan and I have worked together at Lowe's, and he's just next level systems architect and designer. So I'm really privileged that he's agreed to present tonight, and I hope you enjoy his session. He's got a Bachelor of Science, major in physics, electronics and pure mathematics, which is just mind-blowing. His speciality, e-commerce platform development, is Magento 2, which is a really cool, it's one of my favourite platforms. It's actually my favourite. But he's got over 12 years of senior web technology experience, and his rap sheet is pretty impressive. Topshop, he's built Topshop website, Sass & Bide, Lowe's, Glue, Fresh Flowers, Camilla, Active Skin, I've got Lowe's there twice, iFrames Australia. So I'm really proud to present Dilhan.
Thank you very much, Elisha. So I'm trying to bring
Share the page.
Yeah.
Take your time.
No, I cannot. Guy, you need to do the setting, I guess. I cannot start screen while Elisha is okay.
Yeah. So maybe I'll stop share.
Okay.
I might stop share so you can grab the page. So it looks like I can see.
Okay.
You're right. Okay.
I'm there, right?
Yes. Great.
Okay, you can see my screen. Thank you very much, Elisha, for your kind introduction. It's too much, but I really appreciate the words, and I really appreciate the opportunity you gave me to participate in this wonderful meeting and
no problem.
Of course. So without saying much, I will jump to my slides.
Yeah, might want to go to present as well. So
yeah, I will do that.
Yep.
So
yeah.
So already
Excellent.
you spoke some of the web technology stuff. So I will just move to the next slide, which is how our web requests bring us results. So let's say now you are going to IT Master's website. What you do is you enter the URL or the domain or whatever we call it on the web browser, let's say Chrome. So if you have an internet connection, then the web browser tries to connect you through to the internet service provider. So let's say you have a Telstra connection. This means the Telstra servers. So the thing is that when it comes to the internet, the servers, the routers, the switches, they don't know anything about this URL, okay? So it all depends on everything is introduced and recognized by just the IP address. So to talk to something or someone, so some server, we need to know their IP address. So how do we do this conversion? So that is where the domain name servers jump into the scene. So the domain name server is like a name key value mapping. It has the domain name mapped to the IP address. So if we know the IP address, which is a response from the DNS servers, then the internet knows how the protocol, how to jump through the internet switches and this all huge network and find the correct server responding to your request. So when the request reaches the server, then it knows how to handle and or how to respond to your request. So it will respond with the information and it will go through the cloud back to your computer or the browser. That's pretty much it. So that's how the internet basically works. So everything is transferred through this network back and forth with information like I'm going to show you in the next few slides and the demo. So first of all, I'll do something like this. You all know this ping command, which is a popular one. So now I'm trying to find the IP address for itmasters.edu.au. So because internet does not know about the URL, it knows only about the IP address. Okay. So I try to do this. So I end up with an IP address like this. So you may notice that this is a little bit different from the previous IP address we used, because this is now we have two things called IPv4 and IPv6. But anyway, this is also an IP address, but in the newer version. So let's say ping google.com. So this is the Google's IP address in the IPv6 format. So this is how the Google servers are recognized through the web. And the IP address can be changed based on their server structures. Okay, this is some kind of a demonstration back again. There's a website called dialog.lk, which is a telecommunication provider in Sri Lanka. So if I try to access that website from here, let's see what will happen. I already ran this to save time. So let's see what happens. So I start from Penang Hills. Maybe that's where my Telstra or my internet connections ISP servers are. Okay, I will run this. So as you can see here, it is hopping through the internet or switches routers to get somewhere and find the responsible server for this one. All discussed or connected through the IP address like given here. So now it jumps to the Hong Kong servers, then back to Singapore, then it found the connection to Sri Lanka. And from the Sri Lankan telecommunication provider, that means the main manager of the Sri Lankan internet services, has redirected that to the correct head office headquarters of the company. So see how many hops we have taken to reach this final destination. So it's a lot. Like, it's not a direct call. When you try to hit a URL on the browser, the page just start loading, but it's not a single request that connects instantly. It's a request that hops through the internet through several routers and IPs. So I will give one more, apple.com. Okay. So from here, it will take some time anyway, because this is a demonstration. I try to render the things. It will hop through the internet and go back and forth. It's not a direct connection. It goes through this pathway, but the pathway can be different from time to time, but it should actually finally end up somewhere that it finds the Apple's main servers. We'll give it a couple of more seconds.
This is incredibly interesting, Dilhan. Can anyone use this?
Yeah. This is an open Java-based visual trace route, we call it.
And you're in Hunters Hill.
Yeah, not Hunters Hill. I'm in Rockdale currently. But my servers maybe recognize the IP address is somewhere related to that area.
As long as there's like, we're not going to extend the privacy of where you actually live.
Okay, so looks like it's taking some time. So I will just hop to the next step. Okay. So like I said, the internet is built upon a huge network of servers, routers, switches, and all those things. That's why we take these pathways to the end servers. So next slide, I'm going to speak about the HTTP and HTTPS versions of the web pages. So Hypertext Transfer Protocol, which is the protocol governing the internet. But now, early days we had these websites, but nowadays most of the websites are going to inherit this HTTPS version of it, which is the secure socket layer with secure certificates. So for an example, let's take this connection. This is an HTTP connection, but it is insecure because the data is transferred in raw formats. So if anyone intercepts this data packet, then he has the probability to know that what you are talking about, the server and the user. So when it comes to the HTTPS, the information transferred to the user and the server is encrypted. So it is like a key. This user has a key, the server has a key, they lock it and then pass it through the internet. Then let's say the server received it, and it has the key to unlock it, but no one else. So the SSL websites nowadays, it's very popular because it implements the security, right? So everyone looks for their title bars to find if it is a secure website to access. So that's very important. So this is kind of a user accessing the website. Let's say IT Master's main website. So your browser send a request to the web server, including their SSL versions, the certificate session data, and the server will receive it, and it will try to send back some information specific to this server, again including some SSL certificate that we have installed in the server, and some session data, and the preferred encryption method. So it comes back to your browser, and then browser validates that response with the certificate signatures it already has. So there are several main certificate providers in the world, like McAfee, Verizon. So they provide certificates to signatures to these browsers, and they provide certificates to the servers like DevOps. So in this way, they know what they're talking about in the same language. So when this handshake is done, then your browser will start encrypting the data using this special signature, and the server knows that is the one you are going to encrypt it, and therefore it knows how to decode it. So from there onwards, the browser or your computer and the server agrees to encrypt and decrypt the information using the same key. So which means the third parties, even if they intercept the packet, it's just rubbish or the gibberish for them. they won't be able to decode it. So this is very important. More detailed version of it, you can Google it for more information. I'll move forward. Okay, the web page rendering. Elisha already mentioned few of the things, but yes, the web page, let's say take a web page, it basically consists of 3 layers. The HTML, which is the skeleton or the basic instruction or the layout. Browser know how to read it and render it. But when it comes to the skin and makeup of a website, it is the CSS. We call it cascading style sheets. That's how you beautify your website. I will show you shortly. And on top of that, we have JavaScripts as the muscles and brain, which does all the pretty cool stuff like animations, sliders, chat boxes, searches, AJAX calls, which mean asynchronous behind the scene calls to the servers to fetch information, recording your stuff. Even website tracking, mostly done by this JavaScript layer. So pretty basic, pretty much it. That's all the browser knows. It knows how to read HTML. It knows how to apply CSS instructions on top of the layout. And it knows how to render the JavaScripts and execute JavaScript. So what we do basically in the backend server side is building these 3 layers and pass it to the browser. So when it comes to the server side, the things are much more complicated. Web servers, that means who can listen to your request and respond it accordingly, are called web servers. There are pretty many of them, like Apache, Nginx, they are open source, IIS, which is by Microsoft, Tomcat, Java developers know this server, and Node.js, another JavaScript-based server. And when it comes to developing the business logic of the website, let's say if you are if you're on Facebook, then there's a business logic running on the website that renders your friend list, your post, specific view for you, like dynamically generated web page, like Elisha explained. So these languages like PHP, Java, .NET, Perl, Python, Go, these languages does this magic of combining all this business logic into something like this. To do that, it needs some databases like data, your personal information, your friends list, how many friends you have, and your privacy parameters, your names, your emails, everything are stored in databases like MySQL, Microsoft SQL, Oracle, MongoDB, and so on and so. And together with other services like searching engines, caching engines, the server-side applications build 3 layers like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and the web browser knows how to render it into a beautiful website. Okay, I will jump back on to something like this. So you already have seen this, I know, because this is a service NSW official web page. I took it for the demonstration. There's no offense. So now this is the website. Finally, you see on your browser. But if you go to see the HTML structure, I did something like this.
Oh my God.
That's Dylan's usual day. That's what it looks like.
So yeah.
Do you want to explain what that is, Dylan?
Yeah. So if I go to now this is what we see. This is the rendered web page. But if you go to the page source, Control U, you see the actual thing that is received at the web browser. This is called the layout structure, which is HTML, like Elisha mentioned. HTML is just like another type of XMLs, but it is the language that browsers speak. So for an example, I will show you. So this is a link for some kind of a CSS file, which is a cascading style sheet. This contains font details and some loader details, these media, like, see, so many CSS files and some images. It's another link to Apple Touch icon, see? This is linked through the HTML structure. These are called resources on a web page. So this is pretty ugly. So I will go back to this one. And now let's say the browser has received these layout instructions, but if I disable the CSS, all the styles of the web page, this is what it really looks like. Still ugly, right? So this is pretty, if you remember the early web pages in the early web, this is how it looked like. So it is just like a Word document, a website, but today it's more.
This is what it looks like on my old Nokia.
That's right.
Remember those banners that used to have like a headline that went across the whole page and just kept
that's
moving?
Right. Yeah, marquee tags, everything. Fascinating stuff. So now I enable the CSS again. So another thing, if you have using a Chrome or Firefox like browser, modern browser, we all have this inspect element developer tools installed in it. So simply by pressing F12, you can enable it. So I will show you some of the CSS. Now this element, this is called a div tag, and this is called the CSS behind it. So the browser renders this CSS to make it pretty. So we instruct the browser to make the background to blue. So that's why this section is blue. Something like that, you get the idea, right? So if I made it red, it becomes red. So this is the pretty much skin and makeup of the website. Now, when it comes to the JavaScript, okay, I have this website, IT Masters website.
I think I know that one.
Yeah, that's right. So if, let's say, if I disable the JavaScript, what will happen? These sliders will stop working. And these chat boxes will stop working because all those animations, rendering, everything is done through JavaScript. In the network panel, I have the ability to see all these resources. So JavaScripts, this many JavaScripts, this many CSS files, this many images, this many media come together to build this web page. So that's how it happens. So
Dilhan, would that be fairly standard practice? Like, how good is our website?
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Yeah, I have some data when I was doing the one. But
Dilhan's a very positive person.
Because I personally think it could do with a bit of a spruce up.
Yeah, I will show you. I think it's pretty
I know
good.
a great systems architect that can help you.
So I will jump back.
Board. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much. I will jump back to the web slides. Oh, one more thing. If you remember from last week, Elisha mentioned the cookies. Okay, so the cookies can be found in the developer console as well. So I'm giving you this information because now one day you can go and play around these websites and understand what it really made of. So if you go to applications tab on the same developer toolbar by hitting F12, you will find this section called cookies. So what is a cookie? It's just a key value pair. So the cookie has a name and cookie has a value. So web pages use these cookies to store your informations like encrypted like this. or raw information. Anyway, using these cookies, you can do wondrous things. Like if you logged in, then browser will input a cookie here to know that you are logged in. So it doesn't do this every time, but it just check the cookie. So like Elisha said, the website tracking can be done by a third-party cookies. Still, it is a key value pair like this. So pretty much some things that can be done using JavaScript. Okay, I will move to the next slide. Again. This is it. When all enabled, when all the three layers are working together, then we have a pretty good website. Okay, analyzing the web performance. It's an important topic because it all comes back to the conversion rate optimization at the end. You want to sell more, you want more profit. That's where it ends. So analyzing the web performance. What is web performance? Really, that is the objective measurement. It's a relative measurement actually, and how it is perceived by the user, his user's experience of load time and runtime. So basically, web performance is how long site takes to load and become interactive. Maybe even after it become interactive, the web page may be loading some content, some images, some resources behind the scenes, but it doesn't matter. As long as we can use it, then users will be happy. Why this matters? Because it directly affects the page and the abandonment. See, if a web page is taking too long to load, then the users will be frustrated and then they will go away. It affects the conversion rates. And if you are especially using a mobile, then it affects the bandwidth and even the phone battery lifetime. That is why it is so important to improve your website's performance. And some statistics shows that the websites that load under 3 seconds is gaining the highest conversion rate. So looks like nobody is going to wait more than 3 seconds. See, if the conversion rate is dropping rapidly, drastically, if the page load time increases. So let's say if you have a web page that takes 10 seconds to load, forget about it. So it won't do much good for you. You have to optimize it under this level. And this is becoming very competitive. We need high capacity servers and good services like good caching mechanisms. Altogether, we can achieve this target. Okay, to measure the website performance, we have some tools. Basically, it starts from the servers. You should have good servers that scale up and high performing calculation rates and better memory, everything comes together to final rendering output. So, but when we measure the web page performance as we see it on the browser, these are pretty good tools: Webpage Test, Google Page Speed Insights, Site Speeds, and there are some other paid services as well. These are free. Okay. Guy, now you have an answer for that one, right? IT Masters has performed really good. Hey?
Ooh, that's exciting.
Someone just asked a question about speed, so that's good.
Okay.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
Everyone
will be very happy to hear that. I'll be
yeah.
blabbing about it all day tomorrow.
Yeah, the thing is that this is one way of measuring it. There can be some other sites do some different calculations.
No, one's enough. Thank you.
Okay, I'm moving forward. Now I go here. So what you do is you take a new tab, web page test. You find this one. This is the free service. It has been there for a long time. And let's say service NSW. And for the test location, you can select anything, but it's better if you can select where your customers are. So I will prefer this one and use browser, the Chrome. So you can start the test. That means this website will try to load this web page on Chrome browser through these servers and will try to analyze the content of it. So I'm not going to look for this because it takes some time to do this. You can do for your own website. I'm explaining it from here. So for this website, the Service NSW website has some good ratings. Like first byte time is really good. That is, first byte time means how long it took the server to respond with the first bit of data. So not everything, but the first bit of data. And these are some other things. The resources are compressed while they are transferred. That is a good thing because it can save our bandwidth. Looks like this site does not compress images very well. It could have saved.
Does that mean that they're too big, Dilhan?
Yeah, it can be the same quality images could be reduced much further to achieve little bandwidth. That's the idea.
And a good little platform that's also free is Tiny PNG.
That's right.
Which we used at Fresh Flowers, didn't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you upload an image, this little panda will remind you the correct version of it. And so if you upload a PNG or JPG you exported from Photoshop or somewhere, Photoshop still have these capabilities to export web compressed images. But if you upload that image, a raw image for example, this compressed the image into something that is not reduced quality, but still a little, smaller in the size. So it visually we can't tell the difference. That's the whole idea.
It still keeps its, color and size and everything, but it's just a smaller file and it takes less time to load.
That's right.
Yep.
So this website has taken 3.7 seconds to load, which is not bad. And the first byte responded from this one. So it is normally said any website should respond under 0.5 seconds with its first byte. So that's the benchmark, I think. So now we have the benchmark to the page load time, which is 3 seconds. And 5 seconds, in between 3 and 5, I think. So see here, the document has completed loading at 3.7 seconds, but still the fully loaded page has taken 5 seconds to load. So which means from the back end, they have done something, loaded some resources, but still it has become interactive at 3.7 seconds. I will move quickly. Content breakdown, HTML, JavaScript, CSS, images, fonts, and other things. Look like this website is making so many requests for JavaScript. This could be some point we can improve the website. And half of the website weight, I mean the number of bytes, has been served through JavaScript. Looks like they have heavy JavaScript, so they can improve it. So by going through these descriptions, you can find some points where you can start optimizing your web page. That's the whole idea of it. This is not a Swiss knife tool that can do everything, but it's a good start point that you can look into the website in a different perspective. Details. And this is called the waterfall view. And this, from the moment we use the URL, this is how the content has been loaded from the server to the browser, and with the time they have taken. And here we can identify some things that take too long to load, or some blocking and restricting scripts so we can improve them. Okay, performance review. Some details, some ideas, potential savings this much. So this is kind of a descriptive information about some things you can do on your website. So pretty much Webpage Test just give you a good idea about your website. So another website or a tool that can do this is the Webpage Insights. So the Chrome has built in this into the developer tool as well, but just I showed you. But according to this one, it is having a different score because they all do their calculations based on the different grounds. Here they say, if you eliminate render blocking resources, you could have saved this much seconds. Like it's a battle of JavaScript. So you can read it more. I'm not going to explain it. But using these tools, you can start optimizing your web page for better performance. Okay, I'll move forward with one thing. Okay, content delivery network. You have heard this, definitely. And I will explain it quickly. So content delivery network is a service that we can purchase from a service provider like Cloudflare or Amazon's CloudFront. What it does is it has a series of servers distributed all around the globe. So we use their service just to implement our static resources like CSS files, JavaScript, or images because they don't change. They don't change much like a backend business logic does. So let's say this user is trying to access your website and it's trying to request an image. So the static resource request goes to the edge server. So edge server take a look and it does not have any version of that image. So it goes to the original server and it fetches the image and it stores it in here inside cache. It's edge server cache. So then it is delivered to the user. Now what happens if the next user trying to access the same image? Then he goes here and the content is already here. So he received the image just out of this server. We call it an edge server. So it is less time to load for this guy and this one because it's already cached. And it's less pressure on the server because it served the image only once and the CDN network has cached it. So we recommend for your static resources, use CDN. It is a very potential saver for your website and it improves the performance drastically.
So can I just explain the Lowe's 20% off store-wide scenario with that particular example? So
yes,
so when you've got a whole heap of customers coming at the same time, so let's say 10,000 concurrent users all looking for schoolwear, back to schoolwear, there's a big sale on, there's going to be a lot of calls on the website and a lot of page requests. So what Dilhan just explained is, you know, when you have it cached on a local server, it actually serves an image very easily, whereas if you don't have that set up, then you'll end up coming to a grinding halt because the web will get over serviced and it'll not
they
be
are
good.
optimized. These CDN services are optimized to handle the high request. They scale automatically. If the number of requests is high, then they scale automatically to serve that, but your servers cannot. That's why the static resources better be served through a CDN network.
Yep. Great.
And Dilhan, would they be on the cloud or is that both?
Yeah, it's a cloud. Yeah, CDN is basically a cloud.
Okay. It seems like there's massive benefits, like certainly like huge economies of scale. So it sort of seems like the will continue to get bigger and be able to like optimize
That's
so
true.
much more.
That's true. Like I said, in the previous analysis, most of them were images and JavaScripts, right? So if they served through a CDN network, then half of the web page is instantly loaded. So that's the basic idea. Okay, I'm moving forward. Static and dynamic pages tracking. Elisha explained it beautifully, so I'm not going to spend much time on it. So for a dynamically generated web page, I would give a better example like Facebook. So Facebook is specially showing content specifically for you. So no one else is going to see what you see because it is dynamically generated for you. But let's say if a static content web page, then everyone is seeing the same content because it's already generated and stored somewhere. So everyone can receive the same copy of it. So that's the basic difference.
Is
How
that,
these
is that
pages,
like the Charles Sturt University homepage?
yeah, basically the home pages like static.
Yep.
It does not have much dynamic data. Therefore, it can be cached in somewhere in a CDN maybe fully.
Yep.
So it will serve faster.
Great.
Okay. How these pages can be tracked using cookies, like I mentioned, like Elisha mentioned, tracking pixels. We'll discuss this in detail last time. You know how to check if there are tracking pixels on your web page. That's pretty amazing. And then JavaScript based tracking like Google Analytics. So like I mentioned, JavaScript is the brain of the website. And that is, in this example, Google Analytics need the user data from your website. And who delivers that data to Google Analytics? JavaScript. So what we do is Google Analytics insert some JavaScript onto your web page, approved, the content is approved. So basically the engineers do that, insert these scripts, and the scripts know how to track your data and transfer them into the Google Analytics, and it will perform it as a report, beautifully understood. That's how it happens. Web beacons like ultrasound beacons, they are not much used, but there are many other tracking methods as well. Browser fingerprinting and other methods. Okay, I'm not going to explain this one because we discussed in detail last week. This is a Facebook pixel looks like on the HTML version of the web page, I mean the page source. Most of the tracking pixels can be blocked using a plugin, let's say a browser plugin or an email client plugin. So it does not load these tracking images automatically until you allow it. So if your user is doing that, then it's hard to track your user through the tracking pixel. Google Analytics is a favorite tool. Millions of people use it every day to track their users' behavior. And it operates on the JavaScript layer of the web page. Okay, I will move to this one, analyzing the site navigation. Okay, Google Analytics. If you have already accounts in Google Analytics, you have seen these graphs. But let's say you don't have an account, still there's a way you can experiment the dashboard by doing by linking a demo account to your Google account. If you have a Gmail address, then you can sign up for the analytics and you can use this demo account. Based on these steps, you can link it to your Google Analytics and you can use it to track. Track what? That's the question. So Google has a merchandise store. I had it somewhere. They have built a demo store. I'm not sure if it is a demo store or actually they are selling these items online. But this analytics data coming from this website. There are so many things, cool stuff.
Hopefully
So
a couple of you will be interested in using this and having a bit of
yeah,
a play.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, everyone
So
stuck around, so it sure looks like it.
yeah,
Mm.
so yes, JavaScripts on running on this page push data to analytics. Therefore, here we are. So I go to my demo account, Google Merchandise Store, master view. This is the analytics dashboard, and I select last week. And I go to behavior, all pages, and here you see how your web page has been used by the users. So total number of page views, unique page views, average time someone is spending on your page, entrances, bounce rate, exit rate, more information. So if you use some page, if you are interested in this one, you can still check the data. I go to the navigation summary. Here you have you can get an idea how your users are hanging around your web page. So let's say this basket HTML. So to the basket HTML, users has reached that page from these sources. Like from home pages, they have gone to the basket page, from the sign-in page, quick view page, and from Google search and all those things. And they have, from there, they have moved to the next pages like this. And this many entrances, this many exits, that means drops of traffic. So using this analytics data, you can analyze how your audience is going through your website. And if you find, if someone is not spending too much time on your web page, you can analyze this data and figure out if there is something you can do to improve that. Another pretty good one would be the users flow. So this pretty much showing you how your users are sourced. That means from where they are coming and how many of them go to the home page, how many of them drop off from the home page, and how many of them are going to the next level of pages. And from there, how many drops, and like that. So this interaction, or we call it, sometimes we call it a funnel, and this shows you how many users finally end up in your page. So you can go through the steps and improve them to finally redirect the customers, focus them into one purpose, like purchasing something from your site. We have many parameters here. From which device they are coming from, and from which mobile, if even the operating systems. So many information you can grab from this Google analytics dashboards. Okay, I go back to the slides now. One more thing. Conversion rate optimization. So this is pretty important. This is how your users end up using your offer. So that's the conversion rate. What is CRO means? We are trying our all efforts to bump up this number. So for this particular example, e-commerce conversion rate has been 0.16, which is pretty bad, right? So looks like we have much to do to improve this website into a good value. Like I'm not sure, I cannot give you an exact number what is a good conversion rate looks like, but it can be 2%, 3%, 1.5%. It's based on your customer base, what you are selling and to whom you are selling it. So it's not only about the purchases, but let's say someone sign up to your web page or someone donates to your web page. Anyway, the end users who end up using the offer you give can be calculated as a conversion. For an example, for an e-commerce website, we can call it checkout optimization. And what can we do? It's so hard to guess, but one thing to focus on would be a one-step checkout might help, or two-step checkout. And sometimes users does not like to sign up for the websites and make accounts on websites. They just like to do the checkout as a guest. So if you allow them, then your conversion rate would be go high. And now there are one-click checkouts, and some of them have credit card vaults. So like Braintree, the credit card payment gateway providers have vaults that you can save your credit card information like a secure token. So next time you come to the website, if you want to buy something, just one click, you buy it. So you don't have to enter the credit card details. You don't have to go fetch your wallet to find your credit card in it. So that all those actions can improve the conversion rate. So well-placed elements, buttons can help in bumping up your conversion rate. So it's better if you can study what is your competitors are doing, how they have placed their elements, and how the users are performing on their website, and you can get an idea of where to improve. Heat maps, Elisha already mentioned that. Heat map is a visual map of the users behaving on your web page. Like they tend to use their focus on this area compared to this area. That's what heat map just show you. So whenever your user is behaving or spending much time on your web page, that is where you better put your main buttons. So for an example, if you take your mobile, there are some places that you can't access using your thumb or the finger you are using to touch it. So if you have a placeholder button somewhere you can't hardly access, then it won't do much good to you. So you should move it back to a convenient place so users would love to press it. So something like that. So it all depends on your user base. That's why I'm saying this is not a one-day job. So conversion rate optimization is not 1 week job. It's not 1 month job. As long as you have your website up and running, then still there's time to improve. Still there are things to improve. So you are still on the market with a good conversion rate. So check out CRO. Like I mentioned, secure socket layer is important because nowadays users pretty much look into it. So for an example, if you go here, you see this lock sign, which is connection is secure. IT masters, your connection is secure. So if you see this, you get a confident that you can do purchases or anything on this website. So for an example, I have my website, which is a sample. It is not secure because I'm not using a secure socket layer or SSL certificate on my website. So if I place a checkout button here, it would be not that safe to click it. So users look into these days now. Therefore, you better have your sites up to date and appealing to them. Going forward, website performance, it all ends up in server performance, and every fact contribute this one. Using retargeting platforms, Elisha already mentioned that, and this fact is more interesting. It looks like abandoned cart automation generate 30% more revenue than regular emails, which is
That's
a good
amazing.
number. Yeah. And then when it comes, I found it somewhere maybe here. It says that if someone purchasing from you, at least they have to see your brand 7 times to make up your mind to
Correct.
purchase it. Yeah. So more and more they see your brand, then it registers in your brain and they try to come back to you. We can do this retargeting using these platforms like Elisha mentioned. Whenever a checkout of any web page is personalized by demographical data, geographical or seasonal, then people tend to purchase more. Let's say Christmas season. So they have this Christmas season now, Christmas promos, banners. Then we tend to buy more on this season. Simple page layouts, good search, social media, proof, review, free shipping about $100. So these things actually persuade them to do more. So CRO is not about the web page performance, but it is how your users see your website basically. Landing pages. It is a topic, it's a hot topic these days, I think, in this area. What is a landing page? Is homepage a landing page? I'm not sure. Maybe it's a good one for a poll, right?
Love it.
Or at least the forum. Yeah. What is a landing page? Chuck that in the forum, someone.
Yeah.
Or a
So,
category page.
Yeah, a landing page is a page on a website that directs users to take a specific action. So in that sense, homepage will not be a good candidate for a landing page because it has so many things that you can do on that. You can go here and there, you can go to your account page and some banners, but this landing page is basically focus you to a single action. Okay, Facebook ad, landing page, sale page. Okay, I will give you some example. There are 2 things called top of funnel and bottom of funnel. So normally for an e-commerce website, they say that bottom of funnel is the best to use. So which means your users end up here on your web page, or at top, you give them your brand awareness, information, why you should use your brand or this specific product. And in the middle section, you tell them what it is look like, testimonials, videos, user comments, anything like that. And you build up their trust. And then at the bottom, you tell them, this is the button, click it and purchase my product. So something like that. So this structure looks like it's generating more revenue and converting more. Okay, together with this land page, there come the terms split testing and A/B testing. Split testing is where you find your best landing page. You have different versions of landing pages, but you don't know which one you should choose as the final page. So that's why you do the split testing. Both pages should have the same conversion goal. Choose the sample size. You have some statistical calculators online. You can just Google it and enter your current conversion rates and your target. So it will give you a sample size. That means how long you should run this or something like that. Example. So let's say I'm running these 2 ads on Facebook or somewhere. This particular ad redirects user to this web page. And this blue ad redirects to users to this page. Totally different designs. Then I run this ad like 50-50 on a platform and then check. Let's say my target is someone to fill up this form and submit this button. Then you can check using Google Analytics how many of them has used this form and this form. If the data is symmetrical, then you will definitely find a good winner if you have a good sample size and a good audience. So if this page wins the race, then actually this should become your landing page. So that's the idea of split testing.
Dilhan, with the split testing, if you go back there,
Yeah.
I see that the option B has a phone number attached. Would that be taken into account, or would that be?
Yeah, it's just a design, right?
The data?
Yeah, this is just a design. So in one design, I have trialed my hypothesis. Okay, I should enter the phone number. Maybe some people may be interested in by looking at this phone number. Something, a hypothesis. Maybe if people loves this one instead, then we get the idea, okay, the phone number hasn't made much difference.
Yeah,
so that.
But do you count the number of people that call given a particular response?
It all depends on how you set up this campaign on your split, let's say Google Analytics or Optimize. So you can set goals, like if the goal is to click this button, that is your goal. So not this one. But if you try to get calls or click this one instead, then it's a different goal. So based on one goal, you can determine if which design has performed that particular goal. So it's based, I will show you. Okay, I move forward. A to B testing. Now, let's say from here, you have this number B as your landing page. A/B testing is another type of test that you can do. Take the winner from the split testing, and you define a variation with one element changed. Let's say I choose this one, and this green button, you see the green button, right?
Yep.
Something like that.
Yep,
okay.
Yep.
So for I think my hypothesis, I think red buttons would capture more attention. So my variance will have one element change, which is the green button to red, and you choose the sample size, you run the test, you find the winner, and you keep doing this. Hypothesis. So you have this hypothesis, red buttons attract more visitors to click the button. That's my hypothesis. So I create a variation. What do I do? I make the green button to red in a variation. Then I set goals, like you asked. So in this one, my goal is to count the people who clicks the button after filling the form. So that's one sort of a test. So if you find the phone number, then it would be a different goal for that specific data. So then you run the test, you examine the data, and you find a winner, and that is implemented to the control. And you keep doing this again and again until you have it doesn't end, let's say. You keep doing this over and over again. Okay, I have few examples here. So version A, version B. See the difference? This has a subheading. Little looks too much complex to me. And here more details. So who would be the winner for this one? Okay, let's go ahead and find out. The here winner is B. Why is that? That's the question. Particularly, we don't know. That's why we should run these tests, because we don't know how your audience think, and we don't know how they react on your web page. That is why we should run the test. Otherwise, you wouldn't know. Even if you are the best guy that who can bump up the CRO, but still there might be some missing pieces, like how your audience think does matter. So in here, maybe this has more information, or the text may be more appealing to the users, or they have read this one and liked it, but we don't know. The winner is B here. This one, there's a form and we have a trusty privacy mark, and this form has nothing. What do you think? Who would be the winner this time? Okay.
Surely
So,
trustee.
yeah, the thing is that something has happened here. Yeah, that's the reason. So,
unless I don't know the trusty brand.
yeah, the winner here was B.
Or
If
like
you
the
heard the
politician that says,
reason,
trust me.
yeah, here, if you heard the reason, you would be amazed. The actual test who ran this, you can find more information on those URLs or just by Googling. Actual research has found that whenever people see this certified privacy logo in this particular scenario, they kind of felt like this is some kind of involved with payments. Like whenever we need credit card payments, we push them like Visa, Master, American Express, certified payments, or secure payment methods like that, right? So once the user is trying to fill this form, he got the subconscious thought that this might be some kind of will end up with a payment. So they were reluctant to fill this one and submit. But here, they didn't have such a thought. That's why I did. See, this is pretty weird, right? That's why we don't know this audience. That's why we should do these tests regularly to improve the, maybe it's totally different from what we are assuming. So that's the beauty of these A/B testings and other tests. That's why we should keep monitoring our audiences. There are more tools: Google Analytics, Google Optimize, Optimizely, paid services, Adobe Target, Average, many services. My personal preference would be Optimize, maybe because it's from Google and it integrates really well with Google Analytics and it's free. So I will do a little demo and that's pretty much the end of it. Okay, I will go to the demo, something like this. I'm sorry, I'm going to use my personal sample website to do this test. Hope you don't mind. Okay, Google Optimize. Google Optimize. So this is a free service. If you have a Google account like Google Analytics, you can subscribe to this Google Optimize, and you have a Chrome plugin that you can install on your web browser to help doing these variants. I'll show you. Okay, so this is my web page. What is my hypothesis here? So I think now these links, I think not many people like to click this. They don't look at this. That is, so now I'm worried, let's say. So I get a hypothesis. If this headline was red, it may attract more users to click this, right? Or they may attract more users to stay on the page. So that's my hypothesis. So based on that, I will set up my original like this. I will remove this first. Targeting and variants. So add a variant, variant 1, done. So my original one, now when I start running the test, half of my audience will see the original version, the black text, and half of my audience will see the red text. That's the idea. So like Elisha mentioned last week, multivariant A/B testing. If you want to do that, then you can add more variants, right? And reduce the weight, 25% for each variant, let's say, something like that. You can play around these tools. So I try to edit this and do my change. So I am taken to my dummy website and my optimized toolbar is loading, hopefully. Okay, so my hypothesis, is I should make this element red. Okay, edit element. Okay. Okay, I will make this red. This red or that red. So now I have changed one element. So that is the idea. One element change and we track it. So I save this. Done. Am I taking too much time?
It's too late for that.
You've got a you've got a captive audience.
Yeah,
the numbers are still there.
I'm so sorry. I just realized
it. It's awesome. Thank
you. So
you.
now this my 50% variant has one change. That's pretty basic market. And then I have the page targeting and description for it. I can set the description. And my measuring tool is Google Analytics. And here, like you asked, here you can set the objectives. Choose from the list. There are so many things that you can do, like click a button. We can customize this, but I'm not going to any details on it. But let's say some basic things like bounces, page views. You can set a target. So this becomes your goal or target, the number of page views or the bounce rate, whatever. I'm just staying with this one for now. And then some other things. So I'm ready to go. So if I run this from today to, let's say, somewhere in future. Oh, sorry. Where was I? This one. Something like that. Then I can start the test. So that is probably this should do it. So based on their algorithms, optimized algorithm, and based on the JavaScripts that's injected onto my web page using web analytics tools and tag managers, the JavaScript will make sure that half of my audience, based on their algorithm, will see the original version of it, and half of the audience will see the red version of it. So at the end of this period, I will come up with some statistics. Then I can find if this has really helped to make my goal a success. If it is so, then this is a good candidate change. So I can change the text to red, and I can move to another element and start another A to B test on top of it. That's how you improve using the A to B testing. So that is pretty much it. It finally ends up about the conversion rate optimizer again. So as long as your website is up and running, then you have so much to improve, and your competitors are doing that. They are doing the SEO, they are doing the optimizations. Therefore, you should do it to keep your face, keep you up and running, and to get more sales, more profit. All right, that's it. Thank you very much for your time. If I took more time, then I'm so sorry. And that's pretty much it. Thank you.
You're awesome. Thanks so much, Dilhan. I hope everyone enjoyed the session. Is very much hands-on. We will record it, but I'll hand over to Guy.
Yes.
I'm sure there's a few questions.
There's only a few, actually. I guess it was such a thorough presentation that that really, it was something that made sense.
Yep.
So I've launched the poll that I promised because, of course, I did. And all right, so let's go for a few questions. There's 3 that we'll get to, and we won't take any more questions because we've run a little bit long. Melissa asks, Dilhan, on Webpage Test, after typing a URL, there are several server options to choose for Sydney, Australia.
Yeah.
How do you choose?
So it basically your preference actually, because all these servers are supporting Google Webpage Test, like they are hosting this website to support the community. So therefore you can choose any server. Personally, I choose the Bulletproof Networks, maybe because I have heard their name and I have worked with them. But you can choose any source because it's same application running on every server. It won't do much different from one server to another.
Thank you.
Great.
Cameron asks about split testing. Wouldn't you test 2 variants of an ad directing to the same web page rather than 2 variants of an ad directing to 2 different sites? And I guess,
sorry,
are there limitations to what you can test?
No, not really. So basically a landing page, the split testing is to determine what is the best landing page for a particular web page, like your Christmas landing page. So most of the cases, it would be the same site. But if you do want to test it on different site, it doesn't matter as long as you have this account linked to those websites, analytics account and optimize account. But mostly what we do is in the same website.
Thank you. I hope that helps, Cameron. Nick has asked something that I'm not quite sure I understand, and I'm pretty sure that's just because I'm not very technical. So is the change simply cached on the Google servers?
Sorry?
About 5 minutes ago, you were talking about, Nick, maybe if you want to rephrase the question, that'd be really handy. Is the change simply cached on the Google servers? How does it go with CDN fronted servers?
You mean image? Oh, I'm not sure what. Elisha,
hopefully Nick's still around.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it's basically cached on the server like a resource. Like you have a different version of it cached on the server, and it is delivered to the same user because it's the same resource. It's not going to change by user. So let's say image or CSS file. But if a version changed, then let's say if something like that, I'll show you. Where was that image? Okay. Let's say if you have something like this version 23, this would be one meaning to someone. And if you have updated this element to version number 24, this should bring a different result. But once this one is fetched once, then in the CDN, it can be offered to every user that's requesting this URL. But if this is a different one, then it will still go back to the server and fetch the real version of it. I'm not sure if I answered the question.
No, I think that was right. Nick,
that's correct.
Nick sent in and clarified that was exactly what he was after. So thank you very much for that.
Thank you.
I've launched the poll. Oh, sorry, I've shared the poll. Last week we asked about how much experience people have, and it was heavily skewed to people that don't have much experience. And again, I asked this week, are you currently in a digital marketing role? And again, the overwhelming response was no, but I really want to be a digital marketer as I love it. And I'm sure, Dilhan, you've helped people.
Inspiring, yes.
Yes, yeah. And plenty of other people have actually said, yes, but we don't optimize like Dilhan describes. And I suspect that would be the case for a lot of people. There's a lot of people who are in digital marketing, but there's so many tools out there. It's about finding the right one for you.
It looks like everyone is having a dream of becoming a digital marketer, which is a very good thing, because then at the end, the web will be better for everyone, right? And
they work together. Yep.
Well, we've run a little bit over time, as you might be aware. Thank you so much, Dilhan. That was incredible.
Thank you.
Clearly,
Amazing.
Thank you
an
everyone
enormous
for
level of
giving me this
expertise and
opportunity.
able to turn it into digestible content. So thank you for that.
Yeah,
And thank
this
you,
is-
Elisha, for
And
recommending.
this is the first thing, first webinar I'm doing after I came to Australia for an English speaking country. So I'm not sure if pardon me for my limited vocabulary, but I really love it. I would like to.
We understood everything you said.
Thank
And
you
it,
very
and it
much.
shows, and it
Well
shows
done.
that love. Very exciting. Thank you both.
Thank you.
Elisha, what are we going to talk about next week? Will be the
Oh.
final
Okay.
content webinar, will it?
I'm just in awe. I've forgotten my place. So,
All right, Dilhan, what are we talking about next week?
can you go to the?
Yeah.
No, let's
Yeah.
not bother. We've already kept
Yeah.
people for so long.
Yeah.
It's been so wonderful. Thank you, Dilhan. Thank you, Elisha, and thank you everyone who stuck with us. I hope
Thank
everyone
you.
who's listening to the recording really enjoyed it. And sorry once again for the issues earlier on with the kicking people out of the webinar. Hopefully everyone will get something out of this. I suspect they will.
I definitely encourage trying the Google Analytics. You know, the store tracking. You can rewind to, well, I say rewind, like it's a tape recording, but you can go to the part in the webinar where Dilhan's explaining that, and definitely recommend doing it. Just having a play around. So, but yeah, thanks very much to Dilhan and everyone who stayed up late. Thank you.
Thank you very much.